India Global.
India Global.
Hello and welcome.
Join us on a trip to the world's largest country, straddling Europe and Asia and 9 time zones.
A quarter of the world's freshwater resources are here.
And the world's largest gas reserves.
People here speak an official language of the United Nations.
And striding the world stage have been poets, authors, artists, musicians, dancers, filmmakers, scientists and sportsmen from this country.
It is the country ferrying man to Earth's permanently manned outpost, the International Space Station.
And the older generation amongst the population adore this actor.
And if it's Raj Kapoor, it must be Russia.
The Russian Federation, as the name suggests, is a federal state with a presidential form of government. The government is appointed by the Prime Minister, who in turn is appointed by the President.
The major language is Russian. Moscow is the capital.
Siberia, with a recorded temperature of minus 71 degrees Celsius, is the world's coldest inhabited place, while the Black Sea resort of Sochi can sizzle at 35 degrees. That was a snatch of music from Alexander Borodin's opera, Prince Igor.
India's Prime Minister perhaps described best the ties that bind India and Russia, says India's ambassador in Moscow, P.S. Raghavan.
When our Prime Minister met President Putin in July this year, he said, even a child in India knows that Russia is our best friend, which has stood by India in every crisis. I think this encapsulates beautifully the unique relationship spanning many decades. Immediately after our independence, the Soviet Union helped us build our industrial infrastructure, our technological base, and our human resources capacity.
Talking about deep-rooted ties in the political sphere, Ambassador Raghavan says,
politically, USSR has stood by us whenever we faced a difficult international situation in the 1970s and 80s. Again, it was USSR which helped us launch our first satellite Aryabhata in 1975. And as we all know, our space program hasn't looked back ever since. After the breakup of the USSR, the formation of Russia, and also the momentous events that took place in India in the 1990s, India and Russia have now built a new and invigorated relationship which spans many sectors. Our leaders have termed it a special and privileged strategic partnership.
The annual summit meeting between the Indian Prime Minister and the Russian President is the highest institutionalized dialogue mechanism between the two countries.
India and Russia have very close political consultations on major international developments and in international groupings. Defense ties have evolved while nuclear energy cooperation is flourishing, says Ambassador P.S. Raghavan.
Our defense partnership has acquired a dynamic character, moving from a mere buyer-seller relationship into joint research and development and co-production of systems. We have had great success in completion of the first unit of the Kudankulam nuclear power plant, which achieved 100% capacity. We are confident that the second unit will be completed by the end of this year. India and Russia have already signed an agreement for developing units 3 and 4, and there are other plants which are also in the pipeline.
Trust is the key that is moving this relationship forward, says Envoy Raghavan.
The most important aspect of our relations is a high level of mutual trust in the relationship. We understand each other and we are sensitive to our core concerns and interests. Russia has never acted against our interests. It did not join the sanctions regime when we had our nuclear tests in 1998. It has never participated in technology denial regimes against India. These are strong elements for a lasting partnership.
Music from Shahzada, Symphonic Suite by Rimsky-Korsakov.
Indo-Russian bilateral trade, however, has much room to grow, says India's ambassador in Moscow, P.S. Raghavan.
We have a bilateral trade turnover today of about $10 billion. Given the state of our economies, our relations, this is not at all commensurate with the potential. We recognize it. The two governments are working together to see how we can rectify this situation. We have a high-level bilateral commission which is headed by our External Affairs Minister on the Indian side and the Russian Deputy Prime Minister, looking closely at all strategic projects of our economic cooperation. It has a separate group which is working on projects of priority investment, areas where we can suitably amend our regulations and procedures in order to promote closer interaction. We hope that all these will produce results.
Ambassador Raghavan lists areas of potential cooperation.
India has already an investment close to $5 billion in major hydrocarbon projects in Russia. There is scope for more. We see great prospects in longer-term cooperation agreements between India and Russia for LNG. The two countries are talking about the possibility of direct transportation of hydrocarbons from Russia to India through pipelines. Russia is one of the world's biggest producers of high-quality coal. We see good prospects of export of coking coal from the far eastern coast of Russia. Similarly, we are discussing the possibility of Indian investments in fertilizers in Russia.
And diamonds could emerge as a game changer in bilateral trade.
Russia today is the world's largest exporter of rough diamonds. India is the world's largest importer. There is much to be gained by promoting more direct trade, which will reduce the transaction cost, and it will also create downstream opportunities in India if Mumbai, for example, can become a hub.
Я верю в Иисуса Христа, я верю в Гауда Мубуду, я верю в пророка Мухаммада, я верю в Кришну, я верю...
I believe, contemporary singer Lyapis Trubetskoy.
Indian Ambassador P.S. Raghavan says an extraordinary level of interest in all things Indian informs the Russian cultural landscape.
Russia has a very strong tradition of Indological studies and research. The Institute of Philosophy in Moscow has only recently completed two monumental works, an encyclopedia of Indian culture and an encyclopedia of Buddhism. Russian universities are seeking to establish chairs of Indian studies. We have something like 40 to 50 centers scattered all over Russia where Indian classical dance is taught by Russian instructors who have been trained in India. There is a demand for learning Hindi, Bengali, Tamil, Telugu and other Indian languages. Beyond Raj Kapoor, the Russian audience has progressed to modern Indian Bollywood films, which are very popular. There are TV channels in Russia which are solely dedicated to Bollywood films.
Russian tourists visit India in large numbers, and efforts are being made to increase the tourist flow between cities and regions of both countries.
Educational links hold new promise and need to be explored, says India's ambassador in Moscow, P.S. Raghavan.
Many of the top Russian universities are rapidly climbing up the ladder in the world university rankings, and they're seeking to attract international students, closer faculty exchanges with other universities. They want to attract researchers into major Russian universities, which are also increasing the number of courses in which they offer instruction in the English language. I think these are opportunities for Indian students. Our research institutions could benefit by having Russian researchers. This can have a positive impact on the research culture. There's also the opportunity for closer science and technology linkages.
That wraps up our visit to Russia. But before we go, here's a question for you.
Which premier Indian technical university was set up with assistance from Russia?
Send in your answers to indiajourneys360@gmail.com.
The first three correct answers will get a music CD from AIR's archives and a DVD from the Ministry of External Affairs.
Congratulations, Abhishek Pandey from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh and Vanshika Agarwal from Noida, Uttar Pradesh for the right answer to a question on Saudi Arabia.
Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh was conferred an honorary doctorate by Saudi Arabia's King Saud University.
And King Abdullah bin Aziz Al Saud was conferred an honorary doctorate by India's Jamia Millia Islamia.
Until next time then, goodbye.
And travel safe.